yes.
That's true. And I did not mention that, and I thank you for clarifying that. One of the things that happened in the walk from 30 feet up to here was that Mr. John said, hey, hey, right?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes, sir.
You don't fault him for that, do you?
Not now.
No, it's his apartment.
I know that now.
Yeah. And so when you shot him, you indicated with Mr. Shook was standing right here, and that's where you shot him twice, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, and this was the position Mr. Shook was standing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you give us then some sort of an explanation that would satisfy the jury how then you have a bullet hole that's over in the rightmost corner of the apartment over there if this is where he's standing?
That I cannot explain. I'm not an expert
It's
in
just
that.
physically impossible, isn't it?
I don't know that for sure.
Okay. Can you explain to me, you saw the medical examiner, right? You saw his testimony about the path of the bullet?
I did.
All right, so that would have indicated, stand up again. Watch your step, please. Take a normal shooting position. You have a one-handed shooting position, correct? All right. Mr. Jean is a good 4 inches taller than me. In order for that bullet to have gone into him at that angle, he must have been bent over something like this, right?
I don't know what he was.
If you saw the trajectory that the medical examiner testified to, do you have any reason to think that the medical examiner is lying?
I don't.
But so your testimony is that he was standing straight up, looking you in the eye, or looking right at you when you shot him in the chest.
Yes, sir, when I saw him. It's the last thing I saw.
So you were looking that man right in the eye when you shot him in the heart?
I wouldn't say his eye. I was looking at the person that was standing in front of me.
Okay, and you're trained, not only did you do a double tap, again relying on your training, but you shot him exactly where you as a police officer are trained to aim, didn't you?
Yes, that's why we're trained.
Were you trained to shoot a human being?
Rephrase that?
Where are you trained to shoot a human being?
In the center mass.
That's right. And you're trained repeatedly when you qualify to shoot at an individual center mass if you wish to stop them.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you know what a bullet is, don't you?
I do.
So you knew when you were shooting that gun that you were using deadly force against Mr. Jean.
Yes, it was a threat at the time.
Ma'am, will you answer my questions, please?
Yes, sir.
When you shot at Mr. Jean, you knew you were using deadly force against him.
Yes.
You know what a bullet can do, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And when you shot at him twice, you intended to kill him.
Yes, sir.
All right. So all this stuff about it being a sad mistake, at the moment in time when rubber meets the road, when you pulled that trigger, you intended to kill Mr. Jean.
He was the threat. Yes, sir.
Will you answer my question? When you aimed and pulled the trigger at Mr. Jean, shooting him in center mass exactly where you are trained, you intended to kill Mr. Jean.
I did.
You indicated to Mr. Shook that you gave loud verbal commands, and I hope I wrote it down right, let me see your hands. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And in court today, you've been somewhat soft-spoken, but I know as a police officer, you have an outside voice, don't you?
I do.
All right. So when you say and you give loud verbal commands, your loud verbal commands weren't like you told this jury today, were they?
They were loud. I told him to let me see your hands, let me see your hands.
Okay. Why don't you really tell them how a police officer gives loud verbal commands when they really want compliance?